Welcome to my channel, where the scariest stories come to life. Before we dive into today's chilling tale, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you never miss a story. Now, let's get into the horror. I used dating apps a little bit several years ago, and then again more recently. It had been some time since I'd last been on a dating app. Taking the advice of one of my friends, I decided to go ahead and give it another try. I got an app called Hinge, and after about 2 weeks of being on there, I met a very nice woman. We talked for a little while and exchanged phone numbers. From there, we texted for several days and even FaceTimed as well. I thought things were going pretty well. I liked her. She had long blonde hair and very pretty eyes. She said at one point that she wanted to see me, and I asked to go on a date with her sometime soon. We agreed to go to this one restaurant in town. The date went pretty well, in my opinion. I met her and she was just like she had been in her dating profile. Talking to her in person was nice, and we had a good conversation. For the most part, everything was great. I felt like we could have connected maybe a little bit better, though, like maybe we were both a little bit too nervous. Overall, it was pretty good. After the date, we both went our separate ways back home. She suggested that we should do it again sometime soon. That sounded good to me. We continued to talk over the next couple of days. Then we arranged for the next date. We went to another restaurant in town. None of these dates were really that fancy or anything. We were just going to local restaurants that were not cheap, but also not expensive either. The second date went a little bit better than the first one. She asked me if I wanted to come and see her place. She said that it wasn't that far away and I could come over for a few minutes if I wanted to hang out. It was probably around 9 p.m. at this point. I agreed, and we both went out to the parking lot and got into our vehicles. She told me to follow her, and we both left. I followed her down a few very quiet roads. I was curious to see where she lived. The drive went from 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 15 minutes. I was really surprised. We were going so far down this long road that seemed to be going to the middle of nowhere. Eventually, we were just surrounded completely by farmlands and wooded areas. There were no other cars on the road at all. After about 20 minutes of driving, we arrived at this small dirt road. I was still following her, and she soon pulled onto a long driveway. There were a lot of woods at the beginning of the property, so I couldn't see the house itself at all. After getting to the top of the driveway, which was very long, she parked, and I parked right behind her. There was this average-sized, two-story home that stood on the property. It looked rather old and not in the best of shape at all. I was really surprised that this was her house. She didn't exactly strike me as someone who would live there, if you know what I mean. To be honest with you, I was kind of creeped out now. I didn't even know what city I was in anymore. I hadn't bothered to look on my phone where we were going or anything. I was just trying to follow her. After parking, she got out, and I got out of my car as well. I asked something like, "You really live here?" And she said, "Yeah, why are you surprised?" She walked through the front yard to the door, and I followed behind her. She opened it and I followed her inside. We walked in the door, but we didn't go any farther in. The lights inside were all off, and she didn't turn any of them on. I found this quite odd. I was looking around myself for a light switch. That's when she told me I could go ahead downstairs and pointed. I could barely see anything. I did see a staircase just ahead. It led to an old, unfinished basement. I said, "Do you have any lights in here?" She said we could turn them on when we got down there. At that point, I was really creeped out. I didn't want to be here anymore. I was still right by the door, so I just opened it up and walked out. She didn't say anything to me, but she did follow me outside. I started walking back to my car. She was still walking after me, so I started running. I unlocked it and got inside, then locked it again. I started the engine and saw her running toward the front of my car. She just stood there and looked at me. I started backing out to leave, and as I was doing so, she gave me this really creepy smile and waved at me. That was possibly the creepiest moment of the entire night. I backed out much faster after seeing that, and then I tried to drive home. I had to pull over eventually and try to figure out where the hell I even was. Once I put in directions on my phone, I was able to make it back just fine. That remains by far the craziest date I've ever been on. This story is still fresh in my head since it only happened 2 weeks ago. One of my good friends from high school got married, and I was surprised to see that I was invited to the wedding. It's not because we had a big falling out or anything. We just hadn't talked since we graduated from high school, and that was almost 12 years ago. At first, I didn't even want to go, but then I realized how many of my old friends would be there, and I got myself excited. This was a great chance for me to reconnect with some of those old friends and see some faces I hadn't seen in a long time. He did send me a +1 as well, but I RSVP'd solo since my girlfriend was going to be out of town that weekend for work. I was a bit bummed about going to the wedding solo since I knew all my friends were going to bring their significant others, but I was determined to enjoy myself either way. A few days before, one of my friends from high school texted me and said he couldn't wait to see me. We had a small conversation about classic times, and now I was even more excited about the wedding. That was until he said one small detail right before wrapping up our conversation: "It's going to be crazy seeing everyone. Even Laura is going. I still can't believe you guys broke up." I was pretty stunned by that text. I couldn't understand why on earth Laura would be invited. I asked my friend why, and he said she worked with the bride, and they'd become close over the last couple of years. That changed everything. You see, Laura was my ex-girlfriend. We dated from about 8th grade to our junior year of college. Everybody thought we were going to get married, and at one point, that was in the cards. Life always finds a way to throw you a curveball, though, and due to way too many reasons to list out here, we ended things. The beginning of the breakup was amicable, and we decided to go our separate ways mutually. Then, though, it got real ugly. Like really ugly. She began stalking me anywhere and harassing any woman I would interact with. Believe it or not, even the law ended up getting involved. That was the last time I had seen or heard from Laura, and that was over 5 years ago. Saturday arrived, and I anxiously joked with myself in the car, I must be the only person more anxious than the bride and groom. I tried telling myself we were in our 30s now. Surely Laura had moved on by now. I figured I could just avoid her and stick close to all my old friends, just focus on having a good time. I walked into this beautiful church where the wedding was about to start, and found a bunch of friends sitting in the back. I joined them and scanned the church. On the other side, near the middle, I saw Laura sitting there with a couple of girls I didn't recognize. I was hoping Laura would be there with a date or something, but it didn't look like she was with anyone. The ceremony commenced, and after they were officially married, everyone departed down the aisle and behind the new couple. When I got outside, I hugged and congratulated my old buddy and started walking to my car to drive to the reception. Before opening my door, though, I heard a familiar voice from behind my shoulder, "Hey, there, stranger." I knew right away who it was greeting me. I turned around and tried to be as friendly as possible. "Hey, Laura, how are you?" She smiled, and in a quiet voice, she said, "You know I'm doing good. I'm happy you're here because I wanted to apologize for everything and tell you I'm proud of everything you've accomplished. I realized all that hell I caused you in the end was horrible. I hope you can forgive me one day. Maybe we can be friends." That caught me so off guard, I didn't know how to respond right away. I thought for a moment, and then finally said, "Of course, I forgive you. I'd like to be friends. It's been a long time. We'll catch up at the reception." "Okay," she smiled, "I'd love to know what you're up to these days." We went our separate ways. Honestly, I felt like a great weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I made the 20-minute drive to the reception, and the party was a real blast. At least at first, great food, fun dancing, just as I expected. I was having fun with my old friends from school. We talked with each other like we'd never missed a beat. I did notice Laura lingering around and trying to approach me a few times, but every time she did, I was in the middle of a conversation or being pulled in another direction to talk to someone else. Around 9 that night, I finally got over to her to chat. She was sitting at a table alone, drinking a glass of wine. The first thing I noticed was that she seemed a little off. She was in an extremely irritable mood, much worse than earlier. I continued to talk with her anyway. We talked about work, life, where we were living these days, our love lives, not really too much specific detail, but just the cliff notes, really. I told her I had been with my girlfriend for 2 years now. She told me she basically had a string of dead-end relationships and was taking some time off from dating. There was nothing wrong with that, though I tried to keep some optimism in the conversation. It continued for a while, and I felt good that she finally seemed happy when I left the table. We hugged and I told her it was great catching up. I even suggested maybe we grab some coffee sometime. I was happy to see she was feeling better. This Laura was completely different from the last time I'd seen her. I was glad she'd gotten help for her issues. When everything was over, we went to a local bar to continue the night. I would say maybe 15 people went, and Laura was not included. We partied for a while, and most of the people were staying at the hotel next door. I was still sober, so I was going to be driving home. It was around 2, and I started walking back to my car, which was parked at the place the reception was at. I got to my car and noticed the driver's side door was not closed all the way. That was not like me at all. I considered that maybe it was possible I hadn't remembered to close it fully, since so much was going on before I opened the door. Though, I peeked inside the vehicle through the windows, and everything appeared to be in order. I got in and started driving home. There wasn't a lot of traffic on the road, but there were a few cars every now and then. It wasn't until I was turning onto my street that I noticed a car had been following me some distance. I pulled into the driveway and was relieved when the car behind me drove past. I couldn't explain why, but I was feeling extra jumpy, probably because of that slightly open car door. I was getting ready for bed and lounging on the couch, going through some emails and text messages from the evening. I heard a car door slam shut suddenly, and it sounded very close to my home. All my neighbors are old people, so they didn't really go out this late at night. I found this strange to say the least. I finished going through my messages, shut the lights off, and walked to the stairs to go to the bedroom. The stairs are right in front of the front door. As I was passing by, I noticed the handle was turning. The door was locked, so whoever was trying to open it couldn't get in. I was immediately scared. I knew that I needed to do something, and quick. I saw the deadbolt lock turning. Whoever was out there had a key to my front door. I heard a click of the lock, and the knob started to turn again. As the door started to open, I immediately rammed my shoulder into it and slammed it back shut. I heard someone shriek outside. I looked out through the window and saw the back of a blonde-haired woman running back to a blue SUV parked on the road outside my home. The woman jumped into the vehicle and peeled off. Immediately, I called the police, telling them everything that happened. They seemed so unresponsive, though they said because I didn't get a good look at the person's face, they were reluctant to go at all. I tried to ask Laura about it, but she claimed she had been sleeping for hours, and basically, nothing was done. I decided to change the locks the next day and picked up one of those Ring cameras for my door. It was nuts. It really, really was. It's been 2 weeks now, and nothing has happened since then, but I just don't feel safe. I know how Laura used to be, and if she tried to break into my house after meeting me once more, I can't even imagine what else she had planned. If anything ever happens again, or I have another confrontation with her, I'll be sure to update this story in the future. But until then, I just hope I stay safe through the night. Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to give the video a like and leave a comment with your thoughts. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a terrifying tale. See you in the next one.